Hey y'all, Fuzzy Biker here. It's Saturday morning, bright and early. Check out all these hot rod motorcycles. Royal Enfield Himalayan air-cooled, Royal Enfield Himalayan air-cooled, Yamaha Tenere. Over here we've got a Tiger 900. And of course I've got my Himalayan right there, my 452. We have been out trying to get in as much dust as we can. And we're going to go try to find some more. We got some, just filled all our tanks up, and it was in the 40s when I left the house this morning, but I think it's going to get in the 70s, but I got my good jacket on, so, well, it was clean until I got, until I got going, but catch up with y'all later. Wahoo! We are somewhere in the Lost Hills. Doesn't really look like it right here in this spot, but there's the old bikes right there. Just came off that road over yonder, over that wooden bridge. A bunch of grain trucks out there, and it's so dry out here right now that that there's just dust everywhere. Well, that's what these raccoon tracks are in. So we've been having to, spread out a little bit and get some distance between us. Everything's going pretty good. Amazing how well these bikes all work together. These Himalayans and the Yamaha Tenere, and of course the Tiger. Good day for a motorcycle ride. All right, y'all, we are on the trail again. Wahoo! We just had a little powwow meeting there on what to do. While we were sitting there, a Super Tenere and a Transalp went by. That was really cool. The big problem today is the dust. And the semi's full of grain. We have to really watch for those. You can see all the dust on my windshield. I hope that's not causing too much of a problem. The bikes are running great. I'm really impressed with the Himalayan 411s. You know, on this terrain, they're just about as equal as anything else. They've got plenty of torque. You can't go too fast on these roads. I just got my bike out of the shop. It's got 12,842 miles on it. We just had the second valve check, and the exhausts were fine. The intakes were just at the minimums, but we left them there. And what we're going to do is I'm going to drive it a couple weeks, and then we're going to take it apart again and check it again just to see where they're at, and then we'll get some more space in there for them. So we are in the Lost Hills. We're kind of near Pisgah, but we're kind of winding around on gravel roads. The guy that's leading us, Rich, this is kind of his territory. I think he's on a Tiger. Yeah, he's on his Tiger today. He also has a Honda 450. We'll have to get a look at that soon. Behind me is a Tenere, a friend of mine on a Tenere, 700 Tenere. Nice curvy roads through the hill here, of course. Hey, what's going on here? This soil on the left, that is loess soil. Loess soil is, the glaciers would freeze up all the water, and then in the spring and summer they would melt off, and the Missouri River, which is just a few miles from here, would grow 20 miles wide. Fall would come, the glaciers would freeze back up, and the river would dwindle, and the dust that was left would blow over to the east, for the most part to the east, and that collected here on these hills. So there's not a single rock in these hills that wasn't brought in by man or animal, and that formed these amazing Lost Hills. The soil itself, one of its characteristics, it's a pancake-shaped grain that has, hey, look at this road. 4, 5, 6 sides, something like that. But it likes to stack almost vertically. It'll stack almost vertically for years on end, unless something interrupts it. It's very fine dust. And I think the stack rate is, I think it's 11 degrees. It's what it'll angle at. Anyways, it's plentiful on the west coast of Iowa. I say west coast because there's also an east coast where the Mississippi River on our Iowa's east coast. Hey, we got a tree down by golly. What do we got going on here today? Now, one of the things I suggested was he who leads buys the feed. In other words, whoever leads the pack buys the gas or lunch. They're not getting any dust, right? Anyway, we talked about taking turns, but Rich knows where he's going, so we're going to deal with that. This is an example of that lost soil cut through here. Great day for a bike ride, though. I mean, it's it just pops when you hit the gas. These things are fly-by-wire. And I really think they've got them tuned for different speeds. The throttle reacts differently at different speeds. And what you end up with is an overall consistent feel on the throttle at different speeds. So we had a lot of wind lately, and these roads will get ruts in them. And when you have really windy days, several windy days, the ruts will fill up with that dust. It's very fine and it's soft. It doesn't hold the weight of the bike, so you can look on a road and not see the ruts, but they're there, and your bike will act, you know, your bike will feel them. In other words, they're just as dangerous, you just can't see them. Notice the banks here. Great riding, great riding. Hey, the sumac's all red over here. Leaves are just kind of a turning here for now. I have not been on this road. What do we got going here? Okay, we are going to drop it down a gear and pay attention to the crowd. Looks like we got some terrain features we need to be aware of. Ah, tree down, tree down. Let's see what they do. Can we drive over it? We may have to park the bikes and cut our way through. I don't have a saw with me today. All right, y'all, look at this. We've cut our way through here, a little spot. I'm gonna go hop on my, look at these banks. I'm gonna hop on the old Himalayan here and see if I can cause some damage to myself or the bike. Look at that dust, good grief. Okay, here we go. The first rule of this is get rid of all your speed. No speed. I love it. Oh, tree branch tried to grab me. My foot. Here we go. We're at the point of no return. That went by years ago, actually. Oh! Tried to grab my handlebars. Got speared by another branch. We did it. We did it. Let's see what we can watch here. Okay, that looks like the Super Tenere, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a Tenere, not a Super Tenere. Tenere 700. No problems. This is a 411, I think.
Hey, how do you turn this ABS off? All right, you ready?
Hey, wait, I'm pointed the wrong direction.
Just go that way. We'll meet you back in
Left behind. Fuzzy biker gets left behind. Wahoo! Oh, the dust. The dust, the dust, the dust. Well, if that's the worst we run into today, we're doing pretty well. Pretty good. Less soil makes dust. Ooh. Let's go down a gear here. I got a Tenere behind me, but he's got plenty of room. Look at these banks. These banks have been like this for years. I don't know why vegetation doesn't grow more in the sides. Big holes in the ground, by golly. Hey, look at those holes. Holy moly, you'd lose a bike in there. Sometimes these ruts that are in the roads can get pretty deep. And by deep, I mean too deep for a bike like this, even with a 21-inch tire. And then we got this sand right here. It's like a powder almost, you know. I'm not much of a sand rider, but I'm getting the hang of it over the years, you know. Here I just can't really see that well. One of the reasons you wear a helmet in a trail like this is you don't want to get hit in the head with a branch. Going through that mess of trees that we had back there, some of the branches were sticking me and trying to hold me back. Oh, look at this big rut here. I'm on the wrong side of it. No problem, no problem. Now this is all sand again. Okay, we kind of drove out of that. Sideways there a little bit, huh? Just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Simmer down, simmer down. The bike is running grand. You know, Baxter's just had it 12,600, I think, when I took it in there. And they checked the valves, they cleaned the air cleaner, they changed the oil, they did all that kind of stuff. They looked it over. You know, this is I suppose one of the higher mileage ones that is in America right now. And so they were looking for any defect or any kind of problems. The bikes only came into America, I think, 9 weeks ago, maybe 10 weeks ago. I've got that Dunlop Trailmax Mission tire on the back. I put that on at 7,600 miles, or it's 12,800 right now. Boy, that thing handles really well. I've got the stock tire on the front, the stock Seat yet, and it still looks viable. It's still a good tire. I think it's got several thousand more miles on it. I'm thinking about replacing that with a Dunlop Trailmax Mission front when the time comes. I think Baxter Cycle has those in stock. They got 4 in Baxter. Speaking of Baxter's, they got 4 more of these in yesterday. I think they're all pre-solds, but sometimes people back out. So, you know, always call them up and ask them what they got. The suspension on these things is 8 inches of travel in the front. It's a 43 millimeter fork with about 8 inches of travel. It's about 200 millimeters. It's got the 21-inch front tire. That is the really big deal. The 21-inch front tire, I mean, it's all a big deal, but if you've never had a motorcycle with a 21-inch tire, boy, you're missing out. Look at this pea gravel. Holy moly. What the heck was that all about? I think it was for the on-ramp to the bridge back there. Anyway, and then for the brakes, oh, I thought that was a curve. For the brakes, they upped the disc size from a 300 millimeter on the old 411 to a 320 millimeter on this new bike. And it really makes, you can really tell the difference. You know, on a bike for gravel, you don't want a super grabby brake, but you want a good brake. And this bike is fast enough to do a lot of pavement. Literally, you know, interstate, literally. I've done 1,000 miles of it in one day. So you definitely want brakes that are good on the road. And this has that. This has very good brakes. Single disc on the front. The rear is a 270 disc on the back, single disc. The front is a dual piston bi-recaliper. The rear is a single piston. I don't know if you can hear that DNA filter I got in there. It's a very playful machine. So we did all that maintenance on this bike, and one of the interesting things was the chain. So in 7,600 miles, I didn't have to adjust it at all. 7,600 miles, I brought it in, did an oil change, and we adjusted the chain. Well, then the very next day we put a new tire on it and adjusted the chain. And then we went, let's see, I did about 5,000 miles, and we did service on it, and we adjusted the chain again yesterday. So very good chain in that sense. You know, it's wearing well. I do keep it lubed. I do try to keep it clean. And then, you know, let's talk about transmission. It's kind of an interesting box. It's a box that is a transmission that is designed to work well in everything from climbing up Rocky Mountain roads like we did the BDRs in Colorado, going through rivers, on this gravel, on the dirt that we were just in. It'll do normal city riding just fine. It'll do you name it, you know, 2-lane blacktops. It'll do interstate, of course, and it just does it all really well. An interesting characteristic it has a little bit of a wide throw from first to second gear, and in fifth to sixth, it's also a little long for some reason. So you really got to do your shifting positively. You can't be lazy when shifting up or down. You don't have to be forceful, but you shouldn't be lazy. It works pretty darn good overall. It's not as smooth as like an Interceptor transmission, but it is right up there with that, and it works in a much wider range of terrain. You know, it's a very good transmission. I'm very happy with it. And one of its interesting characteristics is it will up and downshift without the clutch pretty well once you learn how to do it. So it's kind of like having a quick shifter, you know. Look at this corn left and right of us. That stuff is ready to be harvested, by golly. Let's see what we got here. No traffic. We are north of Pisgah. Ah, more gravel. They just can't seem to get enough of it. This is Richard's ride. You know, Rich's ride. We're following him today. He's doing a great job. These are called 10 bales over here. They weigh about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. These trees are all in the Luss Hills. Just over that is a big flatland. Maybe we'll see that here in a little bit. And those are the floodplains for the Missouri River. So I talked about the transmission, the engine. Talked about how they cleaned my air filter and they did all that neat stuff, you know. Check the valves. The suspension, the rear suspension, by the way, is 8 inches of travel. Also, it's a Showa monoshock. The front forks are Showa also, upside down. Ground clearance is about 9 inches. That's about 230 millimeters. Wet weight for this motorcycle is 430 pounds, or about 195 kilograms. Horsepower is 40 horsepower with about 30 foot-pounds of torque, or about 42 newton meters. It's got plenty of torque. The torque is always right where you need it, it seems. It doesn't have the tractor motor that the old 411 had. You know, the 411, it seemed like it was always, you could lug it down to nothing. This one starts complaining if you start lugging it too much, but it will lug. It's a beautiful engine. It really is. You know, we were expecting a beautiful engine when they came out with this bike. When we got to ride it, the thing that really blew us away was the suspension. The engine, of course, but the suspension was just, it's a fabulous thing, and it's really not adjustable except for the rear. I think it's preload, the spring. So other things I've been thinking about with this bike is I'm trying to make it as tour friendly and dirt friendly, both things, as possible, meaning I can hop on it, drive to Colorado or Alabama or Virginia or wherever. I want to go to the back of the Dragon in Virginia, and you know, take all my gear and have all my stuff, and then get there and then get off, you know, do the off-road stuff like this, or the off the pavement stuff like this. I think I've got a pretty good system going right now. I've got the tire thing going. I've got the I'm going to leave the engine about as stock as can be, other than the DNA. I might do the cat delete on it. I don't want it to be much louder than it is. But so the next thing is things like luggage. I've got the box on the back, the Royal Enfield box. I got that at baxtercycle.com. And I love that thing. So the big worry was, will it stay on the bike when we're riding the rough? Well, we had it in Colorado, and you know, renting those the rough, and I ran a bunch of rough roads with it already here in Iowa. So far, zero problems with that issue. You know, it stays on the bike. The other thing I worried about was dust getting in there, and we'll find out by the end of the day today. But so far, that has not been an issue either. So what about other luggage? I would like to have, and I thought about getting hard luggage on the back, but I don't really want that because when we go off-roading, that'll be an issue. I could get soft luggage that goes on a frame. Yeah, that's nice. My goal, though, is I want no frame on the back for luggage, and I would like it to be where I can take the bags off the bike easily and go into the hotel, or throw them in my tent, or, you know, take them in the house to pack them. One of the systems I'm looking at, there's a couple good ones out there, but the one that I think I'm going to lean on is Rhino Works. They've got a system where you put this harness on the back of the bike, and then you attach your bags to that harness, and then you can take them off when you get to the hotel. And, you know, easier to do than, they have a bag system that straps onto the bike. That's kind of a lot more work to strap on and off. I've seen that. Jeremy had that on his 452. But I think the system I'm thinking about would be better suited to my needs. Other things I'd like to do, handguards. I want the Royal Enfield handguards. Friends of mine have been putting the Mark Buster system on with the Storm, you know, the plastic Storm covers. I would like to have the Royal Enfield branded ones just because it's a Royal Enfield, you know, no other good reason. I already put this extra large screen on here, which I'm learning to love, other than it gets very dirty. Other equipment plans for this bike, a touring seat. When I wear out this seat that I'm on right now, possibly a cat delete pipe. I think I'm going to do that. I'm kind of on the line about that. I just don't want the bike to be any louder, or not much louder anyway. Wahoo! Now these are the floodplains on the left. The Missouri River is over that way, and so is Nebraska. That's to the left over yonder. So future plans, future rides on this motorcycle. What am I thinking about? There's the big one in Alaska. I am in the process of planning that trip. If anybody's interested in that, please let us know. Go to Forgotten Motorcycles Facebook page. We'll start a group on that at some point, probably next spring. The goal is to go there in June, beginning in the middle of June, and we think it'll take about a month for the whole trip. It'd be about 8,000 miles. Any motorcycle welcome, of course. The route is paved all the way. Something I'm going to do sooner than that is Route 66. I think I'm going to try to do that this winter. I need somewhere to ride, and I think that would be a good a bunch of fun. And I think we might start that either next week or the week after. See what we can learn doing that. But that should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of, the Mother Road and all that neat stuff. So this is, I believe this is all state forest land up here to the right. Yeah, there's the Tenere behind us. Let's see what this sign says. Scenic overlook, 3 miles. Well, we can deal with that. I'm going to take it a little easy here. I'm going to take it a little easy here. I don't want to catch up with those guys. A little bit of washboard there. More rides to talk about. Still wanting to go to Canada, and I want to go up on this particular motorcycle. And if I do that, I want to do it, well, in the next couple days. So I got to do some research on weather. I simply want to go cross into the border, check out America's most northern point in the continental America, and then come back. And the reason I want to do that is I want to make sure there's no problems with me or my motorcycle getting into Canada. Hey, this is an old school, Sue's School. Well, that was certainly a quick stop. Sometimes in these hills, if you look up into the timber, you'll find old cars or, remnants of old buildings, things like that. Hey, there's the spot, by golly. Way up there over on that hill is a deck, observation platform. We'll run up there and check it out. It's called the Loess Hills Lookout or the Spot. All right, my friends, I'm going to shut this camera off. I'll dig the other one out, and we will go up there and check it out. Wow, we have made it up to the spot. I'm going to run over here and show you really quick what we got. Loads of people out here today, but check this out. This is all Iowa prairie. These are the Loess Hills. There's a big walking trail system that goes through here a couple miles, and this is all state forest over yonder. But that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? We're here to talk about motorcycles. So we've been bugging down the old roads on these little hot rods. And so we've got my Royal Enfield Himalayan 452 right here. This is a Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. This is a Royal Enfield Scram. This is a 900 Tiger. Baxter Cycle sells all of these. This is a Yamaha Tenere 700. I've ridden one of these that Baxter Cycle had. But check this out. He's got the nifty bags, Tuss bags, all kinds of good stuff here. This is Steve's bike. He's got all kinds of goodies on here. This fellow just picked this bike up yesterday.
That's what I like.
Just look at that. He put the box on the back. Once you have a box like this, you always have one. I got one on mine. I just love it. And then, of course, this is the Tiger bags, the whole bit. This guy rides all over the place. I mean, he just goes everywhere. Absolutely gorgeous machine. Hey, look at this. Ha ha!
Is that Jeremy?
Check that out. That's Mark.
Oh.
Ha ha ha! Hey, Mark.
What the hell's going on?
That's our buddy from Colorado. Isn't that crazy? Here in Iowa? Anyway, we've just been out having a ball. I think I'm going to call this kind of quits for videoing today and enjoy the rest of the ride. But if y'all are interested in anything like this, a new used Royal Enfield Triumph Classic British bike of any kind, new Himalayans, get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty Minneapolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. Make sure you tell those fine folks Fuzzy Biker sent you. Life is good. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to put this camera up and we're going to go motorcycle riding. Y'all do the same. Wahoo!